Hey, this is Jeff from the Ozark Mountains in Missouri, USA. Well, today we're going to take a road trip and hopefully pick up some Commodore gear. It's about a 2-hour and 45-minute drive because this is Missouri and you can't get there from here. So I hope to film some good scenery along the way and have a little fun. Let's get started. This is the way I go to work every morning. And even though we're close to the middle of town, there are deer that run across here all the time. It just happened to me the other morning, in fact. Here we are traveling down Interstate 44, which runs roughly parallel to the old Route 66. Now we're going to come up to a bridge that goes across the Little Piney River, and we'll try to look over to the right at a really picturesque little town called Jerome. Look quick, we're going to pass it really fast. Now we're headed through the Fort Leonard Wood area, which is a huge army base out in the middle of Missouri. We're off the highway now onto some country roads, and we're getting ready to enter the little town of Sleeper, Missouri, which is aptly named, as you will see. This is it. This is the whole town. It is pretty sleepy. And here's downtown Sleeper. And now we are exiting Sleeper. We're on more of our main road now, getting ready to cross a bridge which goes over one small part of the Lake of the Ozarks. Lake of the Ozarks is man-made, formed by damming up the Osage River. It encompasses approximately 54,000 acres with a total of 1,150 miles of shoreline. Now we're back to more of a country road going through some gentle hills. Another 20 miles or so down the road, and it's another lake. This is Truman Lake, which is also formed by the Osage River, and it's about the same size, at about 55,600 acres, though that can go up to around 200,000 acres during flood stage. I'm about 10 minutes away from this fella's house, so I'll give him a call and let him know I'll be there soon. I'm not going to carry the camera in there and invade his privacy. So we'll see what happens after that. Seemed like a real nice fella. And I'll take a different route home, which will be far less exciting. It's a little straighter. It's longer, but takes the same amount of time. Well, I'm back home. It was about 7.5 hours round trip. Wound up with the cab of the truck full and the bed. I think the highlight of the day was the old fella I just met that I bought all this stuff from. He was a super nice fella. I enjoyed speaking with him. And sometimes it's not all about the computer equipment, it's about the original owners and learning a little bit about them. So, well, now I've got to get all this stuff unloaded, and then we'll have a look through it. Well, here is the pile of stuff from our road trip today. I hauled it all up to a spare room that I'm actually in the process of painting, so I had enough room to sort through it all. And we can look at everything individually. So all of this stuff is from the original owner. And he kept really good care of everything, although it's been in storage for 20 plus years. So I'll get all this sorted out and then we'll take a look at it. So after a couple hours of sorting, this is what we wound up with. We had a pile of Commodore hardware, a pile of Commodore software and manuals and magazines, a pile of old PC stuff and a lot of discs and things like that, and a lot of cables. There are a few interesting pieces in here which we'll get to. and a pile of what I'm calling office stuff, which is mostly printer accessories. This whole box is filled with different types of tractor feed dot matrix printer paper, and there's some ribbons and things like that, a toner cartridge, just stuff that's not that exciting. But actually, I guess the printer ribbons would be good for somebody needing one of those for their printer. Anyhow, let's take a look at some of these individual items. There is 2 monitors in this lot. The classic Commodore 1702, complete with its door. This is always a great find. This, I think, is really, really interesting. It's just a green screen monitor made by Comrex in Japan. It's marked 1982, and this is such a funky little black and white monitor. It's got that, Brady Bunch 1970s type of futuristic look. Let's get a close-up on it. And here's our little beauty. We have a nice carrying handle. Got brightness, contrast. And this is the on and off switch it pulls up. Isn't that cool? It's got a power LED there. There's nothing down here on the bottom. I'll spin this around here so you can see the back. And you can see by this little clip here, this was a TV that they converted into a monitor. It's got some other adjustments here, and it's got a 300 ohm and a 75 ohm signal input, which is kind of interesting. You can see the label here, Comrex video monitor model CR-5500, 120 volts, 60 hertz, 0.3 amps, made in March of 1982 by Comrex International Incorporated. Made in Japan. It looks like the original owner taped the receipt to the back. And while I'm curious what's on here and how much it cost back in 1982, yeah, I don't really want to take that off there. That's neat. I haven't tried this yet. I need to do some testing on it before I plug it in and maybe burn it up. But wouldn't this be great on something like the Timex Sinclair 1000 or something like that? That would just be super cool. I thought we would look at the computers and disk drives in the order the original owner got them in. Of course, starting with the Commodore 64 and the 1541 floppy drive. So if we start with our Commodore 64 here, you can see we still have all the original packaging, the original brick. Oh, that is pretty loud. And the original packing styrofoam. And even the keyboard cover. It's a little dirty, but it's there. That's nice. This followed the owner all around the country. He's got an address label in here, which I'm going to cover up, even though it's an old address. But you can see it is an 8-pin video connector, so it's not a really early C64. It's a rainbow label, but it is in really good shape. It's been well taken care of. So that'll be interesting to take apart. Let's see how it works. There is the label for all you folks that like labels. And of course, along with the Commodore 64, you got a 1541 disk drive. This says it's from Zaire. I'm not familiar with that. This one also says it was made in Japan. I think we can slip this guy out of here. I can put up with the squeakiness of the styrofoam. Hey, I even opened it right side up. I always left a note on here. It says, use lock codes when running package software. Oh, and he's got a message on here of how to print out a program listing. So this Commodore 1541 and the monitor we just looked at were the first home computers this fella purchased. He was an engineer and he used them in his work. You can see this is in really good shape. He even still has the manual in there. I guess the only thing missing from this package is the serial cord. The original owner told me when the Commodore 128 came out, he just had to get one, and he picked up a 1571 drive at the same time. Let's take a peek in the boxes. Okay, here we've got our Commodore 128. This box is in really good shape. If we open it up, we see he kept everything, the manuals. This even has the original disc in here. And I found out from going through some of the software, which we'll look at later, he used CP/M on this thing a lot. Oh, here's the cable for the floppy drive. RF cable, switch box, and I'm not sure what's in here. Oh, I hadn't seen that before. That is an MFJ VIC-20C64 Direct Connect modem. Huh, how neat. I've never seen one of this before. I didn't realize that was in there until now. And something little in here. Well, this is kind of exciting. I didn't know this was in here. That is some type of DB9 to RCA adapter. I wonder what that's about. Don't know. We'll have to look at that later. Maybe that was like an adapter for the 80 column mode. And a classic Epix fast load cartridge. And of course, power supply's in there. That looks like it's in good shape. And the C128 is still in its original packaging. Just in pristine condition. That is excellent. Then we've got our 1571 drive. Original manuals. Oh, man, that's a big digital research CP/M guide. Haven't seen one of those before. Serial cable, power cable, it looks like. And again, really good shape, and I love how he even kept the head protector in there. It's such a treat getting these things in this good a condition from the original owner. And there was also an MSD Super Disk drive for the Commodore and a box of miscellaneous Commodore accessories. Let's look inside. Of course, the MSD Super Disk drive was a third-party drive made for the Commodore. This box is marked December of 1983. Inside, there are a couple manuals, the preliminary operator's manual, and it looks like another copy of that. And here you'll notice something different on this disk drive. It has this funny connector here. That's an IEEE 488 connector. That is a parallel interface, and if you had an IEEE 488 interface on your Homer 64, you could connect it that way, which is a lot faster. The old Pets also used this same type of interface. And of course, it's got the two regular Commodore IEC serial connections. And here's the front of our drive. He left the drive protector in there, which is nice. And MSD also made a double drive version of this, which was neat. And in our box of accessories, there's a few interesting things. I'd never seen one of these before. It's called a serial box. And what it is a 64K serial printer buffer. So you could print out, and this would buffer all the data, and then it would free up the computer faster. It has all the documentation inside. And it looks like this. That'll be interesting to try out and see how it works. Something else interesting I found was this little packet of TRS-80 disc labels, which has a little punch-out thing in the center here. And it's got like some extra little punch-out things, so I'm not sure what that was about, but I thought that was kind of interesting, even though it's not Commodore stuff. Of course, we have an extra keyboard cover. Oh no, that's a 1541 drive cover. Awesome. My favorite joystick in the world, the Wiko Command Control. You can rebuild these today to work just like they did 30 years ago. The only thing that really wears out is the centering bushing, and you can get a new one for about 10 bucks. Put that in there, adjust the leaf switches, works like new. Okay, and we have some miscellaneous cables in here, including this DB9Y cable. I guess maybe you could have two different types of joysticks plugged in at once. And I puzzled over what this cable was for a while, but I think this is a TRS-80 cassette interface cable. And actually, I need one of those, so it was a lucky find. And this is a Centronics printer adapter for the Commodore. Okay, here we have some software and books for Commodores, and one of 3 boxes of Commodore magazines. Let's have a look at the software and stuff first. Here we just have some miscellaneous manuals and books, and like the manual for that printer interface, that type of thing. Computes book, a little programming notes book he made up, interesting things like that. This box is some software and more manuals, some of the original Commodore stuff, like this. Again, some Commodore manuals, mailing list, time manager, some disk. This looks like his data disk, different commercial software packages, and a lot of Commodore 128 CPM disk. So I guess there were some people that made very good use of CPM mode on the Commodore 128. I found this was really interesting. I wish I would have known that and could have asked him more questions. He used this for business. There was different, productivity packages like a word processor and Superbase and things like that. As I mentioned, there are 3 boxes about this size full of magazines for the Commodore. This one has Compute, Commander, Transactor, Commodore Magazine, and Power Play. And these are a real treat to have some of these original magazines. All mine from years ago have disappeared with time. And this old guy kept all of his. So it'll be a treat looking through these. And I'll go through these and see if there's any copies I have here that maybe Bomb Jack is missing, and I'll try to send those to him so he can archive them properly. These are just a few of the interesting items from the pile of PC stuff. I first found this little parallel port adapter and puzzled over what it was till I came across this, which is a Logitech single sheet color scanner. You would feed it in, I guess it would pop out the back. The plug here goes into that box, which plugs into your parallel port, and it still lets you use the parallel port for other things. I hadn't seen one of these before. There was a number of AB switch boxes, both serial and parallel. An interesting trackball/mouse type of thing. I may have to see if I can try this out. I've never used one of these before. And a zip type drive, or a data drive. We'll have a closer look at this because this is a really unique item. When I came upon this box, I puzzled about what this was because, interestingly, it says nothing about its function on the box anywhere. I opened it up. And this is what's inside. The power adapter, a DB9 cable, and this little white box. There we go, and it just says Panasonic video adapter. There's a video out, a color or black and white switch, and a jack for the power in. And again, it just calls it a video adapter, and it gives a part number, but it doesn't give a hint as to what it's for. And I was kind of guessing, given this was a DB9 cable, and this was an RCA connector, that maybe this was a CGA to composite adapter. And I tried to do some searching based on this part number and came up with nothing. And then I looked for the Panasonic Senior Partner, and I found out it was an old DOS luggable made by Panasonic. And I searched for that some more, and I found a post on the Vintage Computer Federation forum where somebody had bought one of these, and they had a copy of the original sales brochure, and they were nice enough to attach that as a PDF where they mentioned this adapter. And sure enough, it is a CGA to composite adapter. And you don't see these Panasonic Senior Partner computers around much. I think I will try out this adapter maybe on an old DOS computer I have to see how that works. That might be kind of interesting. But it makes me wonder how this old guy came across this adapter. You know, if he had one of these computers at one time, or if he bought it for some other purpose, because these wouldn't have been too plentiful, because these Panasonic Senior Partner luggables weren't that plentiful. Just something kind of interesting. A few weeks has passed since I picked up this equipment, and I'm editing the video. And I find myself reflecting back upon the experience and still thinking the best part of it was meeting the original owner and getting to spend some time talking to him. You know, we get all excited about the equipment and the technology and the vintage this and vintage that, but the people that went along with it are many times the best part. And the same is true today with all the friends we meet online, the people with the same interest. It's nice that we can all share it, and maybe the people and the camaraderie of sharing the experience is the best part after all. Anyhow, enough waxing poetic for the day. I would like to take a few moments to say thank you to the people who help support the Hey Birt channel through Patreon and other means. It's greatly appreciated, and you help keep this channel going. If you'd like some more information about becoming a supporting member, just look down in the comments section below. You'll see some links there. Also, thanks to everyone who's a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, well, what the heck are you waiting on? If you look down below, you'll see a rectangular box that says subscribe. Well, you know what that does. Just click it. It'll subscribe you to the channel. And then you can click that bell-shaped icon, which will let you know just as soon as I post a new video. If you have any questions or comments, just leave them in the comments section down below. I would really love to hear from you. Until next time, bye.